So now I'm going to read from this novel, which is a novel about a poet. So I'm going to read a little bit from the beginning, and then some from the end. And all, I guess, do I need? I don't think I need it. I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm just going to read. This section is called the Poetry Field. My stepbrother had given my number to this young woman. She called one afternoon when I was standing in my kitchen on Thompson Street. I was broke as usual, and I think I hadn't had anything to eat that day, maybe a roll, and I had a couple of cigarettes left and definitely no current plan. I was beginning to sweat, just a light sweat from moderate hunger and then some feeling. Just a feeling I might not even go out, even though I had a big problem, kind of big, so obviously I picked up the phone and it rang. I met your brother Eddie at O'Henry's. In Greenwich Village, she added, as if that was supposed to impress me. He's my stepbrother, I said. The girl never even hesitated. O'Henry's was right. I had drinks with him there at least once. It was expensive, and though I always pictured the candy bar, I knew it was supposed to be writerly. My stepbrother was an advertising man, and according to my family, a real writer, not a deluded poet like me. Uh-huh, I said, holding the phone, looking around at the light in the kitchen, the day, and the thin prospects it held. He said you might be able to tell me about opportunities in the poetry field. The poetry field, I thought, not even bothering to pull the phone away from my ear like they do on TV and look at it in disbelief. The poetry field, that's good. I wonder if my stepbrother was screwing around. She sounds nuts. So I was wondering if you'd want to meet for a drink. I'm new in town. Do you know this bar in Waverly Place that's downstairs? It's very cute, and I think artistic types hang out there. The locale, I filled her in. Yeah, that's not far from me. So do you want to meet for us? Good, I said, hanging up and looking around. Out my window were hundreds of other windows of people looking in or not. I always thought of rear window. One morning, I'm not sure if this had happened yet, but it'll give you a feeling about the life. I had just gotten up pretty late. Mostly in those days I was waitressing. I was waitressing and I was straight, but I thought about girls. Usually I'd close the place and move on to another place with whoever was around. I like being with an anonymous crowd I can smother myself in. I looked like anyone else, and I was part of a generation that was just fine with that. I had long hair, not bad looking, I'd like to point out. But one morning, I was lying on my mattress, and the phone rang. It was on the floor across the room. I stumbled over records and books. On the third ring, I picked it up. Is this Eileen Myles? Yes. I was naked, and I'd been up drinking late last night. I felt fat. Do you live at 105 Thompson Street? I do. Maybe it was a contest. Well, we have a gun trained on you right now. Drop to the floor. And I did. Now I'd like you to... At that moment, I realized I could just hang up, and I did. When the girl called, I was standing in front of all those windows of my home. I put on a white shirt, I looked in the mirror, dug my hands in my pocket, and I came up with 37 cents. I brought a bag so it looked like I had something. I threw in a book. I wore no socks, it was early fall, an unemployable time. She sounds young, pathetic, I thought, but she probably has money. Maybe she'll buy me a drink. I just gotta move, I thought, closing the door. And she did. She bought me a shot of Hennessy's. I got you Hennessy's, she grinned as if she had done a really good thing. And she knew how to live. She was young. If I was 25, she was 21 or 22. From Sioux Falls, she said. She looked like that. She had long, straight, reddish blonde hair, lots of light freckles, and had a little flat twang in her voice. She ran fast. She had that kind of twittering energy. You couldn't tell if she was smart, but she was accomplished. She could get around, but she wasn't hip, and she wanted to be a writer. She told me about going to, like Harcourt, Brace, and Jovanovich with her notebook, getting past reception, and marching in on some editor at the top of some tall building and getting them to look at her notebook. She was so nuts, but it seemed sort of great. What did they do, I asked. They were really nice, she said, so they said I should meet some other writers, maybe I should go downtown. So, oh, Henry, she shrugged, smiling. Oh, that was smart. I felt behind this girl exchange we were having was a big, huge depression. A mountain of despair was watching her coming at me, her strange manic hopes and her stupid notebook creeping closer and closer by the moment. I was waiting for her to say, so do you want to hear my poem? And then I would sit there sipping my Hennessy's, listening to her obvious poetry, and all because I was broke. But if I paid attention, really paid attention, maybe I could ignore the mountain of sadness, and she might entertain and distract me, and I would think, this is life. The romance and the sadness, I am in it now. I did do that, which is what happened. "Do you need work?" she said. We were on about the third drink now. She kept pulling out 20s, and I saw her little Benjamin Franklin face peeking behind that and her snap purse so she had a source of dough. But she slipped her money out careful like a kid, a smart, poor kid. Over our heads were brown paper bags on the lamps that made a mellow glow in the room like you got a hit of warmth that helped you see. I was feeling better from the booze. "Do you want a Coke, too?" She drank Coke with her booze. "This is good," I said, sipping it. I was out of cigarettes. "Here, smoke mine," she smiled conspiratorially. She was a real girly girl. She had this air of country, but she also reminded me of a best friend in grade school, for about 2 weeks like it was then. Kathy Houston, for instance, was very pretty, and she always thought of the best games, but mostly she was dedicated to not getting caught. So when our laughing in church got the nuns' attention, I was out. Kathy was over with me. I made her red, excitement, which was some kind of door. This girl explained to me that she lost all her luggage in Grand Central when she got to town. "You came on a train?" "No, I came on a bus." I'm thinking Grand Central doesn't have buses. Her stuff was in a locker, and she somehow got robbed, and she had nothing, and she came here all alone, and she wandered around for about an hour, and then she decided to get a drink with her last $7, so she went into the Carlisle and sat down at the bar in front of the TV. The guy who was sitting next to her struck up a conversation. He was really nice, and he offered to take her to dinner. Turns out he was in town for a couple of nights, and she wound up staying with him in this hotel. They had such a good time. That was actually when she went to the publishing companies. He was off doing his work during the day, and she decided maybe she could do something too. "It's a long road becoming a writer. I'm not so sure I have the time," she confessed, stubbing out her Benson and Hedges. "I know, it's hard," I said. I didn't want to think about this. Now she was making me nervous. She said the nice guy from the hotel bar went home to California or someplace after his work was done, but he did something funny. He gave me $450. "You're kidding," I gasped. "For what?" That was exactly my question, she whooped. She really did whoop, but she knocked over her drink then. Maybe we should go. Yeah, I nodded. Skinny, really hip-looking girl in a dancer top put the check down in a brown plastic tray. We were a couple of losers. "My pleasure," the girl said, when Rita plopped a couple more 20s down. "You hungry?" Her name was Rita. When she said, "My name is Rita," she drooped her long hand towards me like she'd been in business 30 years. We were walking down 8th Street now. "He told me I might need it," she said, meaning the money, I added. "And I did need it," she said. Of course I shocked. So I got my own room in the Carlisle that night. Next day I returned to the bar. Another guy sat down. "Blonde with a crew cut," she explained. "He's just a guy from New Jersey, but he preferred to spend his work nights in the city." I told him I just arrived. He said, "Let me show you around." He brought me to the locale, I corrected. She just looked in my eyes. She had very pale blue eyes, and all they said was, "You are so completely missing the point." I'm sure I was. She didn't care about the poetry field at all. The second guy wanted to fuck all night. "That's cool," she interjected, "but in the morning he said, 'You're a hooker, right?'" "I just lost my bag," she explained to me like I was him. "And what are you going to do about that?" he said, and he shoves $2.50 in my hand. I put it in my purse, she shrugged. The bartender, who was a very nice man, told me that if I stayed around much longer, that I would probably get in trouble. I told the people at the front desk, "You're my niece." He smiled, putting another drink in front of her, and they don't believe me. I checked into the Warwick, she said. It's not as nice. The Carlisle was old style. By now I'm thinking she's as bad as me. But a man staying there, a very nice man, she nods to me, as a business associate who's coming into town tomorrow, an Italian, well actually 2 Italian handbag salesmen. And I have a date with both of them, but I have to bring a friend. She smiled so sweetly at me, just with her lips. Just a little tug of sweetness occurred, almost a hum. She was a little crazy, but God, she was good. I think she wants me to be a whore. "It's just a date," she said. "I don't know anyone. We don't have to do anything. These guys, they're just lonely. We can have dinner. You can see for yourself. Go to a discotheque. But I don't want to meet them alone." Now she looked a little scared and desperate. She was working me. "When your brother," my stepbrother, "when your stepbrother, forgive me, told me he had a sister who lived downtown who's a poet, you just figured I was broke." "Well, yeah."